have you on the show, man. Big fan of what you guys do. And I really do think you have one of the coolest band names in rock and roll history. So I'm sure you've been asked it 1,000 times, but I'm going to be cheesy and ask you, what is the meaning behind the name Bass Drum of Death?
Well, when I first started, it was just me and a bass drum, just kind of recording and playing live. And basically, I just kind of wanted to do something just to be able to go drink for free. And that was the easiest way to do it. And so my friend up the street had started a project that he was calling Dent May and his magnificent ukulele.
That's amazing.
So I just started. I was like, well, what can I do to be the opposite of that? So I thought of John Barrett's Bass Drum of Death.
That's amazing.
And, so it's just kind of stuck from here on out. So
yeah. And you play in a band with your brother, right? Your brother plays in the band as well, right?
Yeah.
See, how is that? I've always wondered, like my brother and me are really close, but he never played music at all. I've had a lot of friends that are in bands with their brothers and sisters and stuff, and they always tell me it's constant drama. Is that the case with you guys?
No, not really. I mean, we're brothers, so we fight and stuff, but like very rarely over like music stuff. It's usually stuff that's way dumber.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all the music stuff has been great. It's he's definitely a huge part of what I've been doing, especially over the last like couple of years and stuff. So
yeah, I love that. I will say I have played in a band with a married couple that I will never do again, but I would definitely play in a band with my brother.
Yeah, that seems a little bit gnarlier, to be honest.
Yeah, it definitely is. But you guys formed in 2008. You guys have been going pretty strong for a long time as a band. What do you think the key is to keep a band together that long? Because I feel like most bands I interview have broken up within 2 or 3 years.
Man, I don't know. I guess the answer would be I don't really know what else to do. And I feel like starting over starting over with a new project or something. I mean, not to say that I won't do new stuff eventually, but like this kind of primarily started as a solo project. So there wouldn't really be any sort of breakup or anything. I would just kind of stop doing it, I guess. So,
yeah.
No, so it's a little bit different like that. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where, it's, you look up and you're like, oh man, this is, it's been a long time that we've been doing this.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. And also kind of strange,
Well, it's kind of like the Facebook memories thing. Like it'll always alert me like on this day. And it's starting to trip me out because the other day it was like on this day, 15 years ago, it's like, hey, now maybe more like 5, but it just flies by so fast.
I think that should stop at 5. It should just stop at 5 years. Let's not go back any further than that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm super pumped you guys are coming to town too. You're playing at the Mercy Lounge this Friday night, and you're actually playing with 2 bands that I love. You're playing with Hey Rocco and Have a Rad Day, otherwise known as HARD. What's the connection to those bands? Do you guys know those guys? It's kind of a random thing.
Yeah, so Thomas Sweat from Have a Rad Day he lived in Oxford for a while and has been doing music stuff. So me and my brother have kind of known him for years and stuff. And,
yeah,
it's really cool to see kind of what he's been able to do with that band in Nashville and stuff like that. So yeah, we just thought kind of a good way. This would be a really fun and kind of a low stress way for us to kind of dip our toe back into the water, because we haven't played a show in over 2 years at this point.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
So it's been a lot of shaking the cobwebs out, so to speak. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. And I always like, it'll be fun, even though we're just doing 2 shows with them. It's always fun to have the same bands play like a couple of nights in a row, and you get that kind of camaraderie going. And so yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun. It's we've been looking forward to it for a while. So.
Yeah, Mercy Lounge is good. You guys are playing there because they're closing that place down, or they're moving it, they're saying, but they're going to be shutting down the complex soon. So that's cool. You guys are getting in there.
It's really funny. I think on one of the first tours I ever did, I played with a guy named Dax Riggs, and I was playing drums with him, and we opened for the Kills.
Oh, nice.
So I think that was my first place to ever play in Nashville.
That's awesome. Full circle moment right there. Yeah. I love that. What's funny about HARD and Thomas is his first band, Lightbeam Rider. I saw them play one time. It's a Little Harp with Brewing in Nashville, and it's really nice now, real pro. But back in the day, it was like a back room, and I saw Lightbeam Rider play there, and they had this like all this storage stuff in the back, and up at the very top above the stage, there was a porcelain toilet that they didn't install, and it was just balancing. So every time the kick drum would hit, it would almost fall on the band. So I'm excited to see them in a much less dangerous setting.
Yeah, that sounds very kind of unnecessary and just like kind of asking for something to happen, something like
Yeah.
fantastically awful to happen.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
But dude, I'm a big fan of what you guys do. And obviously, when I saw the song you did with Max from Eve 6, I believe it was in 2020 when you did You Were Right. How did that come? But Max is actually a good buddy of mine. And I think he's brilliant. I think he's hilarious on Twitter, of course, too. But how in the world did you guys get to work together? Are you guys old friends?
Well, yeah, I think I started like I started kind of, ragging him on Twitter, and it kind of got to be this like back and forth, and I'd kind of it was in the middle of, I think, a really bad snowstorm. And so I was like, it was that one we had, it was last February or whatever, where everybody in the South was just like incapacitated for about a week because it snowed a bunch. And then it was like 15 degrees for like a week.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'd been like drinking, whiskey and popping off on Twitter. And so all of a sudden he's coming back and forth, and like his fans are like, John at me as well. And I'll wake up the next day. I was like, man, that was really stupid. What was I thinking? So I like messaged him. I was like, man, I'm sorry. He was like, dude, it's all good. Like y'all stuff is amazing. He was like, I wanted to not like you, but I can't help it. And so then we just kind of started joking back and forth and texting. It was like, what if we just did a song? And I had kind of an instrumental for one line around, and I sent it to him, and he was like, oh, this is perfect. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So we kind of had it all finished and released it, I think, within a week of all that stuff. So
yeah. So you guys met. That's how you met, was through that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I've only met him over like Zoom calls and texts. So
that's amazing. And I do love how you guys played it off like it was a big feud. And then Max was like, we made up, here's a badass song. I thought that was brilliant.
Well, and then we kind of kept playing into it more, saying that like everybody had found out our like publicity stunt. Which it was not at all. It just like it looked funny though.
That's amazing. But I do love Max, and I think it was a great mix. You guys sound really well together. It sounded like its own band in a way, which is cool.
Yeah, it's cool. And I want to, hopefully we can do some more stuff like that as well. Cause that was really fun. And, it's always fun to work with different people in different capacities and kind of see what works and what doesn't. So
yeah, absolutely. Do you guys tour as a 3-piece or as a 2-piece?
As a 3-piece.
Okay, cool. Right. I was wondering about that, how you guys handle that. I think that's great because a lot of bands the big trend I've noticed is I saw, not to harp on any bands, but I saw a 2-piece band play at I think it was Pilgrimage a few months ago here in Nashville, and they had like 17 people on the stage with them, but they still obviously sell themselves as a 2-piece band. And so I feel like if you're a 3-piece band or a 2-piece band, it's cool and you just kind of keep it that way. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's we do it a little bit differently. We have 2 guitars and drums, but yeah.
Oh, no bass.
Yeah, well, I run bass like through my rig. So
nice.
It's kind of like a hybrid sort of thing. Basically, I did the same thing. I toured as a 2-piece for a while, and like kind of did the same thing. And then when we added another guitar, I was like, let's just have another guitar so we can have the lead lines, because I already know how to cover kind of the bass notes just from playing as a 2-piece.
Yeah,
so it kind of made like the natural progression of it. But it would be nice to eventually like expand and get in more of a normal setting, because I'm feel like a lot of times I'm running around stomping on pedals more than anything. But
yeah,
absolutely. For the meantime, this is what we got, and like this is what we're used to. So, it's pretty comfortable for us at this point.
I love that. You know what? 2-piece band, I feel like never gets the cred they deserve. Every time I bring up 2-piece bands, people bring up the obvious ones like White Stripes and Black Keys, but I feel like a lot of people don't mention Local H. I think Local H did that stuff really well. Did you ever listen to much of their stuff?
No, not really, but I know who you're talking about for sure.
Yeah, I feel like they were just a little before, but to me, I've always thought they were like the ultimate like 2-piece band. But I will say they committed the crime of having like 4 or 5 people on stage at one show. So maybe they're not really a 2-piece band anymore, but at the time.
I don't know how that goes. It's that's funny. I never really even thought about that, because a lot of people, like you said, like list themselves as 2-piece bands. I mean, bands grow and stuff over time, and that's 2-piece is very limiting. But like one of my favorites that we toured with a while back was Japan Droids, and
oh yeah, hell yeah,
and they've always just been 2 people. So
yeah,
but they also only tour like once every 5 years. So,
yeah. I love that. Well, John, when I have people on the show, I often play a 5 random question game with them, but I always ask. So are you down to play the game?
Sure.
5 random questions, no right or wrong answers. Maybe some, I guess we'll see. 5 random questions on the local buzz. With John, a bass drum of death. So they just announced that they're releasing spiked Baja Blast in the can. I assume it's like a hard Baja Blast, which is obviously a featured flavor at Taco Bell of Mountain Dew. I wanted to ask you, that's awesome, or my Baja Blast has been spiked since 2004?
Both. It's both awesome and my Baja Blast has been spiked. Actually, it's funny you say that. I have a Taco Bell delivery on its way to my house to me right now.
Oh, so, nice. I love that.
I got a Baja Blast, not the spiked one, just the regular one. I'm so excited about that one.
I love that. Question number 2 with John, a bass drum of death on the local buzz. So I'm not sure if you're a fan of this band, but speaking of 3-piece bands, Daniel Johns of Silverchair has been teasing online a lot that the band might get back together. And then today their drummer posted something implying they might get back and do a Silverchair reunion, which would be, I don't even know, 15, 16 years later. So I want to ask you, rock and roll is saved, or who cares at this point?
Somewhere in the middle. I love Silverchair.
Same.
I feel like the last Daniel Johns stuff that I heard, like it was his solo stuff, and it was like kind of a pretty big departure.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll reserve judgment for when their like new record comes out, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's strange too, because I feel like what they were doing with like Neon Ballroom and stuff was so ahead of its time and cutting edge. And then the Dreams record he put out, I mean, it wasn't bad, but to me, it just kind of sounded like it was a little behind like what MGMT was doing. So it was shocking to me because he was always kind of ahead of the curve back in those days. So I feel you on that. Question number 3 with John, a bass drum of death on the local buzz. I'm sure you've seen the Neil Young and Joe Rogan stuff going on with Spotify online. So I wanted to ask you whose side you're on. Are you on side 1, Neil Young? Or are you on side 2, Joe Rogan? Or are you on side 3, Spotify, because they pay all their artists so well?
Is there a D for none of the above?
You could do none of the above.
Yeah, I don't think there's really a winner in any of that, you know?
It's like my buddy always says, if you're in a battle of the bands, you've already lost. That's how I feel about that battle.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I do think Spotify should pay the artists more.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Question number 4 with John, a bass drum of death on the local buzz. What is your favorite Nashville band or band that has come out of this city, if you can think of one?
Favorite Nashville band. I'm gonna go with one of the first bands that I like kind of came up playing with. It was Turbo Fruits.
Oh, hell yeah.
Jonas and those guys. We did like, I think when we first started, we did a few like pretty fun tours, a lot of house shows and general just buffoonery that was going on. But some really, really, really fun shows. I think a couple of our like first times up to New York was with them, which was always really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably, 12 years ago. I think that was probably even before we had our first record even out. So
oh wow.
Yeah, good times with those guys. And I ended up meeting like a ton of people from Nashville and like in that whole scene, like through those guys. So
yeah, they were a big deal for me. I remember when I first moved here about 11 years ago, they were like one of the bigger bands in town for sure.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Question number 5 with John, bass drum of death. The final question. This one's kind of tricky. I should probably ask you first. Do you know what a pedal tavern is?
Yeah, it's those like bachelorette party things where it's like a bike where you drink, but it's like,
yeah, it's exactly what it is. So bass drum of death can have your ultimate dream tour. We're talking 70 dates, direct support for any band in the entire universe, alive or dead. But when you come back from that tour, the deal you had to make to get this tour is you have to drive a pedal tavern for a living for an entire summer down on Broadway. Would you take the tour?
No.
I love it.
Nope.
You're the first person to ever say no, and I love it.
No, sorry.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Everyone always says yes. I'm like, you're in music for the wrong reasons, y'all. In it for the wrong reasons. I love it. Well, thanks for playing, man. And dude, it's an honor to have you on the show. And what's next for Bass Drum of Death? What's the rest of 2022 looking like? Hopefully more shows.
Well, yeah, we just finished up a new record, and we did it with Patrick Carney from the Black.
Oh, hell yeah.
We did it in Nashville. And
love that.
So yeah, that'll be cool. And I think we're just we're kind of gonna try to transition back into playing a bunch of shows. So hopefully we can get this thing out in a timely fashion, and hopefully come see everybody once again, because it's been way too long.
Yeah, way too long, man. We'll go see Bass Drum of Death this Friday night at the Mercy Lounge. Hey, Rocco and HARD are opening up. And John, it's really been an honor to have you on the show, man. I'm glad we can make this work out because I wanted to get you on for a while. So thank you so much for zooming in.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.